Attila the Hun was before the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in between there were a few other minor wars, especially in Mexico and whatever it is, but that really doesn't affect them. But this Tang dynasty one really caught my attention. You can do your homework on that matter, right? So you have this type of genocidal facade, and the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stated that these people will kill people like you can't believe. So much so that they will think that they have won the war. You know, when you're talking about full-out nuclear war, it will be full-out nuclear war. And World War III, as you and I know it, remember World War III, 2 world wars took place in the 20th century. World War III is going to take place in the 21st century. Mind you, it's coming. It's coming. And it's going to be a genocide. And nuclear warfare will be the de facto way to go. Okay? So, realize that these realities, that these are coming. And this Ya'juj and Ma'juj nation has had almost 2,000 years plus minus, or 3,000 years to develop and to grow and to release themselves steadily and very, very stealthily. Right? And that's the biggest secret and the most amazing part of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They are hidden in plain sight. Ya'juj and Ma'juj are hidden in plain sight. They are so ubiquitous that you can't see them. You know, it's like, you can't see them. They're so ubiquitous. Really. And this is what has happened. Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples just now. Agricultural facade, that's where we had stopped. And let me give you an idea. We spoke about, you know, religious facade, genocide, world wars, and so on. We've discussed all of that. Let's go to agricultural facade. I got some interesting stuff over here. Let me give you an idea about it, right? Animal cruelty, right? Let's go to the top here. Let's give you some basic statistics. Where was it? In America, 9 billion, America only, 9 billion broiler chickens are slaughtered in a year. 113 million pigs, 33 million cows, 250 million turkeys in America only. What is this? وَيُهْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ. Quran speaks about that they will destroy agriculture and crops, and they will destroy nasl, generations, people, families, genocide. Okay? But the genocide is not only of human beings, but it will be the systematic destruction, as you and I know it, of planet Earth itself. And it will start off with what we know today as industrial farming. Just read that verse for me if anyone has it open. Last week's one, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْجِبُ قَوْلُهُ, Surah Baqarah. Anyone's got it open? Surah Baqarah. I think it was verse 2, I don't know what it was. I'll tell you now. Verse 205, yeah. Verse 205.
Back, he runs out spreading mischief in the earth.
No, just above that, before that. Just one line before that.
And of the people there is one whose speech pleases about this worldly life and brings Allah as a witness on what is in his heart while he is the greatest disputer.
Okay. وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ.
And when he turns back, he runs about spreading mischief in the earth and destroys crops and human lives.
Right.
And
he destroys crops and human lives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used a specific term about these secularists out there, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Just to give you an idea, right? Today, more land on planet Earth is used to produce feed rather than food. Meaning, for one cow, the amount of feed that is required and the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that a cow is responsible for, and the amount of waste and the amount of destruction that is wreaked by one cow that is reared just to feed you and me, is more than what is required for human beings. To give you an idea, the amount of factory farm animal waste generated in the US every year is 500 million tons. You know what we're talking about? Feces. 500 million tons. America only. Number of times more farm animal waste produced than human. 130 times more waste is produced by farm animals than by human beings. Got that idea? We're only talking very filthy stuff now, sewage stuff, gutter stuff, right? Gutter journalism. The miles of river across 22 US states reported polluted waterways caused by farm animal excrement. 35,000 miles of river polluted by excrement. Number of pounds of fecal matter animals raised for food in the US produced per second. 87,000 per second. Minimum number of diseases that can be transferred from farm animal waste to humans, 40 types of diseases. Amount of the earth's total land mass used for animal grazing, 26% of the earth is used for animal grazing. Land mass, we're not talking about farming land here, we're talking about total earth land mass. 26% more is used in this abnormal world that you and I live in. We spend more money on feeding the animals that we're going to eat and feeding the cars that we're going to drive. The most amount of money we spend on what? On feeding animals that we are eventually going to eat and to feed our cars through oil. Can you beat that? Out of the food that is produced, the minimal amount of corn, the minimal amount of soy, the minimal amount of wheat is consumed by humans. The rest of it is used as feed for cows, for chickens, for pigs, for sheep and goats and whatever it is. And that, to mind you, is a joke and a half. The type of food that you're eating, right? Especially your beef and whatever it is, has more antibiotics in it than anything else. Right? There is no chance for the soil to regain its nutrients because it is so over-farmed. The food that you are eating is literally junk, full of antibiotics. Nothing at all is real about it. I'll give you an idea over here just to give you an indication. Right? There are 40% more pigs in Minnesota than human beings. Right? Okay, this always amazed me. The number of pounds of milk produced in 1972 by individual dairy cows. One dairy cow in 1972 gave you 9,863 pounds of milk in 1972. The number of pounds of milk produced in 2012 by individual dairy cows is 21,697. That's a 120% increase in milk. Have you ever wondered how many cows there must be in South Africa just to feed the South African population milk, cheese, butter, yogurt, and every other dairy product in the market? Have you ever wondered? How is it possible that so many cows, or so few cows, can produce so much amount of milk? Go ask the SPCA, the milk cultures that they get from farmers. They tell you that 90% of it is green. And they pump those cows with antibiotics just to kill all the bacteria inside so that milk becomes drinkable. If you and I drink normal, clean milk, you'll get a runny tummy. You know that? Because your stomach is not used to the real stuff. I'm serious. Your stomach is not used to the real stuff. Shongweni market about 5-6 months ago, I went there and I went to buy that pure milk and that Jersey milk and that yogurt. Right? I promise you I had so much. I rushed to the toilet. The lady said, don't feel bad about it. Nothing wrong with your stomach. It's just that your stomach is not used to such good bacteria coming into your stomach. Taste that yogurt and go and taste that milk. You'll be shocked. I was in India now, I was in a Gao. Right? There's buffalo all over the place. Right? Literally they're sitting there and they're milking the cow and then they're making a chai for you. Boy, taste that milk. Okay, buffalo milk is generally better anyway, but taste that milk in comparison to the milk that you and I drink. See the color of that milk, right? See the thickness of that milk, and you come to realize what junk you and I get. They slaughter the buffalo now. The meat is as soft as fillet steak. Right? No hormones. They got the cow inside the house. Literally inside the house. I'm serious. It's only when you go out to these rural areas that you actually see food and say, wow, where that came from? Really? You and I are eating junk. And وَيُهْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ, destruction of crops. Everything is genetically modified. From your rice to your wheat to your corn to everything that you're eating is genetically modified. The type of food that you are eating, that you're not getting the nutrients from the food because there are no nutrients left in the food. And Ya'juj and Ma'juj have complete control over it. You know, Monsanto has an underground type of facility out there that they have every type of grain under the sun. Do you know half of, you must have heard of heirloom vegetables? Woolworths was making a big thing about it some time ago. Heirloom vegetables. Right? They're trying to create the perfect vegetables. Do you know almost 60% of good, beautiful vegetable is thrown down it's destroyed. Why? It's not good enough. It doesn't look nice enough. Nothing wrong with it in terms of flavor. You got a couple of extra knobbly knobs there, like, oh. Have you noticed how fake Woolworths is? Everyone buys from there. So do I. No, the BDS boycott is over now. Right? Everything is perfect. How can someone tell you it's perfectly ripe? How can someone tell you it's perfectly ripe? When last you tasted a slightly soury apple? Yeah? When last? Your bananas are not like exactly, Have you noticed that? Everything is perfectly sweet. What do you think? It's for real. Allah created like that. Before, remember you get like, you get one orange, it's like still green, it's a bit sour, right? Your original lemons were like knobbly and full of like, now it's all perfectly waxed clean. Do you know what they do? I was watching this thing on BBC. They pluck the apple just before it starts to ripen. Right? They put it into these storage containers at a certain temperature to slow down the growth process and the ripening process. After 8 months in a freezer, they take it out, right, and deliver it to the supermarkets at a certain temperature to once again accelerate the growth. So by the time it gets to you, farm fresh, 9 months later. Really, farm fresh 9 months later. Freshly farmed salmon. You know how the salmon work? Unbelievable how this nation works. They've got 2 massive trucks. I was fascinated by it. For the supermarket that you get, the salmon that you get, everyone eating salmon now all of a sudden? The salmon spawn. And when salmon spawn, they got to wait for that moment to come there, then they literally climb, go against the tide and they go up this way. Before they spawn. Do you know in order to mimic that process what they've done? They take 2 pentagonic, what do you call it, 16-wheelers, trucks? What do you call those things? Huh?
Semis.
Yeah, whatever, semis or whatever, right? They've got like a clear chute in between. And they they mimic that thing of that, that river flowing up this way, right? The salmon go from one truck into this middle thing inside here. They think that, they're jumping across the river, whatever it is there, and then into the next one. And you thought you had fresh farm salmon. Wild salmon caught from the Scottish somewhere, God knows where. I'm very serious. I'm very serious. وَيَهْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ. You may think, why is this guy going to such depth? Because as I said, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are hidden in plain sight. You don't know how they've taken over the dunya. Every aspect of your life. That's how powerful they are. وَيَهْلِكَ الْحَرْثَ وَالنَّسْلَ. Allahu Akbar. Read the whole story of industrial farming and the effect that it is having on the earth and the greenhouse emissions and the gases and the food that you're eating, from your chickens to your cows to the deforestation to the fish to the amount of mercury levels. Wallah, you see that these people have wreaked havoc on planet Earth. They've wreaked havoc on planet Earth. It's unprecedented in human history what has happened in possibly the past 100, 150 years. Do you know that? After the so-called Industrial Revolution from the 1700s. Unprecedented in history. And this is what the Prophet of Allah said, La ilaha illallah waylun lil Arab. Okay, let's go to the next aspect of it. You can read all of this up. I don't want to give you the, you can just go and check it up on the net nowadays. This is their thing as well. Then is the next facade is facade of offspring, nasl. Systematic destruction of all human reproduction or mass murder of all children. Abortion today, in most parts of the world, has become legal. It's my right. It's advertised so I don't know what word to use, deceptively, right? You know, film actresses and major, you know, like icons of the world, you know, speaking about pro-choice. You've heard of pro-choice and the right to an abortion. It's my body. I can decide what I'm going to do with it. Blah, 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 blah. One. Number two, in terms of abortion rates, in terms of mass murder of children, it's unprecedented in human history. The number of fatalities of children in war zones in the world. It has never happened in history the way it has happened in the past 150 years. In fact, less than 150 years. Some of the biggest casualties of wars, in the recent wars that you and I have witnessed, have been children. I was in Iraq at the height of the war, you know, in 2002, 2003. We went to a hospital, Allahu Akbar. You could see the effects of the exposure to radiation. You know, they used to have those unexploded warheads, I know what it was called, depleted uranium. I've never seen more deformed children in one go in my life. You and I are never exposed to these things. Literally deformed. I mean, I'm talking about weird stuff. Right? Mothers are sitting outside on the lawns with their children, with definitely, you know, bodies are deformed, affected by cancer. They're not even 2 years of age. Depleted uranium, you know, in Basra and so on. Exposure to it, unprecedented in human history. Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Until you don't see this, you won't be able to recognize them hidden in plain sight. Wallahi, you'll never be able to recognize them hidden in plain sight. Okay? Then is, of course, economic facade. Allahu Akbar. فَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ وَلَا تَبْخَسُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُم وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. Open up to Surah Al-A'raf, verse 85. Araf 8 separama. And Surah 7, verse 85. Anyone who's got to open this, start reading, please. Surah 7, verse 85. This by far is the most, is the worst side. You know, G20 summit is on right now. You've heard of the G20 summit, right? G20 summit is out right now. What's the G20 summit about? G20 summit is where 85% of the world's wealth is in the hands of 20% of the nations, in 20% of the world. That's the G20, the world's richest people. 85% of the wealth is concentrated in the hands of 20% of the people. Wait, to give you an idea, if you were to take, I think 80% of the world's wealth, I think 80% of the world's wealth, right? Or the wealthiest people of the world, 80% of the wealth of the world and the wealthiest people, they will fit in a London double-decker bus. Did you get that? They've got 80% of the world's wealth, and how many do they number? They'll fill up a double-decker bus, London double-decker bus. You know, we got our one here too. Was that Durban? I did think so. Am I right? Or is that the Cape Town one? I'm not too sure. Yeah, the rickshaw bus. The rickshaw bus, sorry. Right? It'll fill up a double-decker bus in London. That's it. The world's richest people. 1% of the richest people of the world own 80% of the world's wealth. Their wealth put together is more than the GDP of countries. Wallah, more than the GDP of countries. They can literally buy off countries. But what's the biggest joke? And this is where the biggest deception is. Right? The countries that are the nations of the Ya'juj and Ma'juj, do you know what US national debt is sitting at? I can't count it. I'm not too sure how to count this thing. It's 19, where's the last chartered accountants? Okay, work it out. 19,492, 635, 723, 277.04. I'm Zuma president. I can't. 6 million, 19 trillion. 492 billion. Sure. 492 billion, 635 million, 723,277 and 4 cents. Now, this is the debt clock currently 6th of September 2016. That's as current as it gets. 19 trillion, which means if you are a United States citizen, you owe the world $60,218.62. And how many are in America? There are 323,697,816 people in America. Each one of them owes the rest of the world $60,218.62 cents. You have to pay off US national debt. The national debt increases by $2.38 billion per day. Per day. 2.38 billion. This is the biggest deception. That the richest people, the richest nations are the ones the biggest in debt. There was a joke that they said, if China was to launch a war against America, they don't have to launch one single missile. They liquidate America. They just have to liquidate America. That's all. And this is the biggest deception of economic facade. The 2000, by the way, mark my words, 2008 had a crash. Expect another crash by 2016, 2017, early 2017. It's writing on the wall. I read an article today. You see the boom again. The boom is coming once again. Ready for a crash. Ready for a crash. 2008, you think 2008 was bad? 2016 is going to be worse. If not by the end of this year, it may be precipitated either by the drop in the oil price or whatever it is, or it could be by some other factors. But late 2016 is already there in September already, right? Or it could be early 2017. They're predicting another crash. Why? It can't sustain itself anymore. Right? The